Alrighty, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is LaughNgamez here. I'm back with another Starcraft 2 cast, and it's not just a Starcraft 2 cast, it's a Starcraft 2v2 cast, as we have got double the players here for double the fun. And it's not just going to be one match. It's potentially going to be up to 3 matches, as we are casting a best of 3 between 2 amazing 2v2 teams. And so I'll just introduce the players really quickly, because I almost have to cast twice as fast with twice as many players. But this is a high-level pro 2v2 match. It's going to be Salsa Tequila, aka uThermal, and Goblin, a Protoss player from Croatia. uThermal, Dutch YouTuber Terran, but also plays all the races. And then we've got Wayne, Zerg from Russia, teaming up with Milkicow, a Terran player from Russia. So we've got 2 great teams here. Both these guys are all at very high levels, and 2v2 is almost better than 1v1 in the sense that you have really no idea what is going to happen in the matches. I certainly don't. The 2v2 rules are a lot more different than the 1v1 rules, because there's so many more possibilities as far as strategies go. You can have Zerglings teaming up with Phoenix. You can have, I don't know, Marines teaming up with Colossus, that kind of thing. So lots of different styles. As far as this match goes, we've got a Terran and a Protoss taking on a Terran and a Zerg. So we've got every race represented in this 2v2. And like I said before, this is going to be a best of 3. So we're potentially going to cast up to 3 matches, depending on whether one team wins 2 in a row or not. Now we've got Salsa Tequila, aka Salsate Tequila. No, Salsa Tequila. Gonna be moving across the map with a Reaper. We'll see if Milkicow, the other Terran player, has gone for a counter Reaper, and the answer to that is no. And then Goblin's actually being a nuisance with his probe, attacking that Marine, softening it up, so the Reaper of uThermal is able to come on in. Then Wayne has got Lings trying to chase down this Reaper, but the Reaper can just out-micro that, so it targets down the Marine, is able to get a Marine and an SCV to start things out. That's very good for the Reaper. However, then it runs right on into the Marine fire, now has to run to the back of this base, maybe is going to be able to get another SCV if microed correctly. It is in a lot of trouble, though, as it's being pursued. Can it dodge the danger? The answer is yes, as it's going to go up the cliff. I can only imagine all the other things I'm missing in this match as I follow this Reaper, but I'm kind of invested, as it's doing a lot of work. Wayne's helping out his teammate by chasing that Reaper with the Lings. At the same time, the Zerg player is getting up a 3rd hatchery during all this chaos. Meanwhile, Goblin shades in an Adept, targets down one of the Marines, so they're really trying to use compounding damage to kill off some workers, and they are. The Adept goes down, but the Reaper's still being a nuisance. Goblin has gone for a Nexus behind this. uThermal's got a command center up behind this. And then 2 Hellions are moving in for the Terran player. However, they are kind of just bypassing the danger a little bit. Now actually blocked at this natural base, so getting out may be a bit of difficulty. Goblin has got an Oracle coming on in. That Reaper is somehow still alive, looking to grab another SCV. In comes the Oracle. Since Marines were killed earlier, there's not enough anti-air for Milkicow, so the northern team is just kind of getting bullied here a little bit, as Goblin's Oracle has got free range of these SCVs. There's Queens for Wayne that could potentially help out, but they really actually can't potentially help out too much, as they're so darn slow. The Oracle is not being microed for a second by Goblin, but he did manage to get 10 kills, which is phenomenal. We've got Hellions skirmishing out on the middle of the map, as Milkicow is looking to get some counter damage done. However, there's another Oracle out for Goblin. How many Oracles is that? He's already up to 3 Oracles, so a lot of potential for more damage from Goblin. This is on the latest patch as well, so he can always use that energy overcharge to give that Oracle more energy if he needs. Meanwhile, Wayne is just firing up a boatload of Lings off these 3 hatcheries and 3 off 3 hatcheries and 32 drones. So he's going to be looking for some damage with the Hellions of Milkicow to support. So going for a going for a punch, teamed up together. However, Goblin's Oracles are phenomenal when it comes to cleaning up all these Lings. Some make it into the main base of uThermal. They actually go for probes in the mineral line of Goblin, but the Lings are already softened up. So a worker probe and a stalker warp and really help shut that down. Things are not looking too hot for the team of Wayne and Milkicow. So uThermal and Goblin are off to a very good start. The Hellions are now coming in for uThermal. He went for Blue Flame, which isn't something you see in every StarCraft 2 match, but when you've got Oracles backing up, you can really go for specialized tech. So uThermal, he's got these Blue Flame Hellions. He's just killing so many drones of Wayne. This is a disaster for the Red Zerg, and by extension, his Orange Terran teammate. If your teammate goes down, you're in a lot of trouble. Milkicow is trying to help out. He's got a Marauder, which does help. But these Hellions, even if they all go down, they've got tremendous damage done. uThermal, he's got a third command center on the way. Goblin is getting up a third Nexus. If we pull up the workers, it's currently 26 drones and 30 SCVs against 44 SCVs and 47 probes. These players are in a lot of trouble. Wayne is a player who likes to go for lots of Lings, go very aggressive, but in 2v2, when your teammate can also help you defend, you kind of need to coordinate your aggression to overcome the double defense, and it's just a disastrous position for Milkicow and for Milkicow and Wayne. Milkicow is trying to really supercharge his economy. He's maybe been floating a bit of money, so he just says, all right, I'll build an extra orbital command. So he's going to be going up to 4 command centers, which is absurdly fast. That means these players could be in quite a bit of trouble, though, if they try and play this game out. Wayne is just back up to 32 drones. uThermal's trying to get more damage done. Vikings even landing for Milkicow to help try and clean that up. Goblin, though, I mean, still has the Oracle, so he can always just use those for defense, and he really is. He's not been out on the map harassing too much with it, although he may be able to. Look at this, the third base of Wayne is still very vulnerable. There's a fourth base, but these outer bases aren't even really mining at all, which is not a good sign for the Red Zerg player. There is +1 done on the Lings, but that doesn't mean they don't die to Blue Flame Hellions as easily. This is where you'd probably want Roaches as the Zerg player. Meanwhile, uThermal has taken the gold base, so while Milkicow has invested in his own, in a 4th command center, he's not easily going to be able to, well, to get an economic lead out of it, as uThermal's already landed. He's ahead of the game. Hellions coming on in for uThermal. Once again, he's just sacking these to get damage done to Wayne. Queens are responding. In comes Goblin, trying to pick off whatever he can. Stalkers, I think they might have got a Marauder or a Liberator there. Something anyway. The Liberator is sieging up to help respond to this. Goblin's on a very strong economy, so is uThermal. Meanwhile, Milkicow hasn't even landed his 3rd command center yet, so he's got 4 command centers, but only 2 are mining. So they definitely are behind on the economy. They're getting bullied quite heavily. Lings are running around trying to defend for Wayne. And then we do have a Widowmine go off. Goblin blinks out of it. He's got the Oracles coming in. The Marauders can't shoot up to help deal with this. Milkicow's defense is just kind of crumbling as the Protoss player takes on the Terran. Lings are coming on in for Wayne to help out, but then there's nothing to really help deal with the Oracles. 1 Queen, a few Marines are stimming on in. All the Lings are already dead, though. Wayne is just going to tap out. GG, as Goblin and uThermal take game number 1. We're going to go ahead and load on up into the next match just real quickly, as that is the beauty of casting replays that are fresh. It means you don't have to do that sign in, sign out thing on the BattleNet client. And before you guys ask, I have tried to set the team colors. Unfortunately, it seems to be a bit of a bug in the StarCraft 2 client, in which you can't toggle team colors in some games. I tested it on these replays. There's no way I can get it so that it shows the players' colors as one. But then I fired up like a test match with some AI as an observer, and it worked fine. So I'm kind of wondering if it's something that like maybe someone has to toggle that option in the game while it's played live for that to take effect. I do not know for sure, but fortunately it is just a 2v2, not a 3v3 or a 4v4, so it is easier to keep tabs on that. Now we're gonna see if Milkicow and Wayne, for some reason their usernames changed, as it's now Milking Cows and Manchego Mark. So maybe these guys swapped accounts. Maybe they're swapping servers. I know uThermal was in North America for a time, so that would explain it if they're playing on, say, the NA server or something now instead of the EU server. It would make sense if they were playing on the EU server, as at least 3 of the 4 players are from EU, but maybe not. Who knows? And now we do have... Yeah, let's see. Milkicow going to be going for double Rax Reaper as Wayne goes for a very quick spawning pool. So the team that's down is going for a lot of aggression to open this match up. There is a probe scout for Goblin to, well, obviously scout this out. And he's looking. He sees one Rax. They don't know about the other Rax of Milkicow. So this could catch uThermal off guard. Reclamation is, I'm not sure if it's a new map or it's just like looks like a new map in 2v2. It kind of looks like an old map actually, but the notable features on this map are that the bases are split up, so it's not as easy to help defend your teammate if both players gang up on you. So I'm wondering if we're going to potentially see that effect if, say, Wayne and Milkicow get Reapers and Lings to attack one of the players. And then it's not as easy for the other player to help out. And anyone who's ever played a 2v2 or a 3v3 in Starcraft 2 has all been bullied at one point or another, and your teammates just not helping you. Well, it's not as easy on this map to help out with that. We do have more and more Reapers on the way for Milkicow. However, they're not getting too aggressive. Overlord is actually going to give vision for this Reaper to kill off the Marine, which is quite nice. A Depth for Goblin is coming in to help try and shut down this Reaper. The Shade after that. The Shade cancels. However, uThermal is going to have 2 Hellions out, which should be able to kill this Reaper no problem. Maybe he can at least get an SCV. He does, which is nice. Meanwhile, there is a Reaper inside the main base at Goblin, so Milkicow trying to do some next level micro by microing his Reapers all over the place, and he is, as he sends in another Reaper. However, 2 of those Reapers have gone down for now. Looks like the Lings of Wayne were trying to get a nice grab on the Hellions of uThermal. Reapers and Lings can group up to potentially take down the Hellions. We do have a 3rd command center on the way for Milkicow. We've got that 3rd hatchery about to finish up for Wayne. So while these 2 players opened up rather aggressively, they're going for a macro pivot. And then we've got, interestingly, a bunker at the back of the base for Milkicow. I wonder if this is just to say no to the Oracles of Goblin. He's scouted out the Oracles. He's coming on in with 2 Reapers once again. Going to be looking to kill off some of the probes of Goblin. And he is getting a nice little bit of damage done, splitting the Reapers. Very beautiful micro of Milkicow, making Goblin work to kill those uThermal. He's going to try and help hunt down that Reaper. And he will allow that Reaper to be killed. Meanwhile, though, Wayne, he's macroing on up as much as Wayne does, which isn't very much, to be honest. He's going up to about 35 drones, but knowing Wayne, he'll stop making them there and just start making units. That's how he plays this game. I've had the pleasure of casting him in a few of the Africa/Soup events that I've done live. Now, in comes uThermal. He liked that Mass Hellion style. He's going to try it again. There is a Roach Horn on the way for Wayne, which would definitely help out against the Hellions more so. Meanwhile, Goblin, being a nuisance, what upgrade did he deny? Oh, I don't often do this, guys, but I'm going to rewind. Okay, Goblin denied Stim with the Oracles. But yeah, pardon my observing for missing that. I wasn't exactly looking for Stim to be researching out on the map like that, but that's a nice find for Goblin, realizing the Oracles can just damage that down. So Stim is delayed for Milkicow. Milkicow doesn't have that much production right now. He's just got 1 factory and those 2 racks. Meanwhile, the 1 racks is out on the map. Hellions, they are driving on by. A Marauder gets a shot or 2 off on them. It is now 3 bases for Milkicow. However, he hasn't really secured that location up. Meanwhile, uThermal is just going for 2 bases for now. We'll see if he throws up a 3rd. He's investing in tanks, investing in Hellions. Maybe a push is going to be in the works. I don't know. As uThermal and Goblin, they got lots of work done in the previous game before they did go for their push. Meanwhile, Wayne, he's got his Lings out on the map, maybe looking for a surround on these Hellions. It's playing with fire, though, literally, as these are Blue Flame Hellions. They will absolutely destroy any amount of Lings, pretty much. Now, Goblin, he's making more and more oracles. He says 3 isn't enough, I need 4. He wants to be able to damage down turrets. Looks like Milkicow salvaged the bunker that he had to be anti-oracle at the back of his base. Goblin's coming on in with the oracles. One Widowmine is going to get a connection. SCVs have to keep hugging that turret so it builds. You got to get an SCV back on that, and he does. So loses a few SCVs. That would have been a lot worse if that Widowmine wasn't present, though, to kill off one of the oracles. Meanwhile, Wayne trying for a backstab with his roaches doesn't work, with his lings, pardon me, doesn't work out. They all just get cut up. This is why I'd like to see Wayne go for roaches, not just lings, pardon me, as Blue Flame Hellions are such a counter for those lings. So we are seeing roaches be built by Wayne, which is nice to see. And neither player really has any major anti-roach tech. uThermal's making some tanks, which definitely will help out. However, he's only on 2 factories still, I believe. So that means he's not exactly shooting tanks out. Wayne's getting up a 4th base. He's making more drones. Goblin is only on 2 bases, 39 probes. Meanwhile, Milkicow and Wayne are on a higher worker count. uThermal is on 2 bases with slightly more workers, but he's now just building his 3rd. So as far as the speed of their economic timing, it's definitely been a nice lead. Goblin comes on in with his oracles, targets down a Cyclone. However, it does cost him one of the oracles, so I'm not sure that was worth it. uThermal is just going to be getting aggressive in with the Hellions. However, I'm not sure this was coordinated as well as it could have been. All the Marines die. He also gets a Widowmine. However, that does cost him quite a few of the Hellions. I suppose it's better with the Hellions to trade out when he can. However, if that was timed with the oracles, that might have been a little bit stronger. Still, it is good to see Goblin and uThermal looking for some damage, as you got to be looking for damage, and in 2v2 there definitely is plenty of opportunity. Meanwhile, this Rax for Milkicow is still landed. It's research stim, research combat shield. He's got +1 on the way, +1 armor on the way. So going to be playing a bio-heavy style, bio versus mech for the Terrans. Meanwhile, then a PvZ. However, Wayne is on a very strong economic position, all things considered. He's going to be a 4-base Zerg with 67 workers. Looks like uThermal and Goblin are trying to attack on in. uThermal's trying to grab some Hellions. Grab some SCVs with the Hellions of Milkicow. I don't think he kills too many. And now the army isn't looking that strong for Goblin. And yeah, it's not looking that strong for Goblin and uThermal. uThermal's going to have a few tanks, which will absolutely be critical when it comes to defending this counterattack, as Wayne is looking to get aggressive. He's got a lot of roaches out, and Milkicow's going to be backing him up with his bio, which is now moving towards the left. So Protoss versus Terran, then Zerg versus Terran. The tanks do push away. Yeah, the tanks do push away Wayne. Meanwhile, Goblin holds on the left side, so things are staying okay for the northern team right now. The tanks are holding this position. There's going to be a planetary out for uThermal. Looks like Milkicow is even bringing a tank, though, as he refocuses towards the right side. Goblin's coming forward to help out. The tank definitely going to help out Milkicow. For now, it's just 1, but this planetary is being sieged, so uThermal may have a tough time saving that. Meanwhile, we've got a drop going into the main base of uThermal. The drop is going to force SCVs to run away. uThermal might have a hard time responding to that, as he is a meching player. Tanks are shuffling forward. This is going to be a corrosive bile opportunity for Wayne, though. He's going to get 2 of the tanks. Walks into more of them. SCVs have to pull to repair that planetary. It's going to stay alive for now, as that can't be broken easily. Goblin responds to the drop to help out, which definitely helps out massively. I'd love to see the oracles for Goblin if he had energy to take down that tank for his teammate. However, Goblin's busy responding to a drop. The mining isn't really going on at least 1 base for each of these players. So the northern team is really being bullied. Yeah, if the oracles took care of that tank, that would help out so darn much for uThermal. Goblin, I mean, he's still busy dealing with this drop in his main base. He's teching up right now. Well, actually, he's really not teching up, pardon me. He's got charge and blink and +2 attack on the way, but other than that, there's not that much. Now Marines are here to support the tank, so that opportunity to save this base was kind of lost. The oracles are coming in now. Revelation gets dropped on them. Looks like uThermal and Goblin are going to go for it, realizing they need to save this position. Goblin blinks forward like a hero, trying to pick off the tanks, and he does. Meanwhile, The tanks of uThermal are a little bit late. He mainly moved them all forward to siege them up. Zealots for Goblin are helping out. uThermal lost a lot of his siege tanks, though. Wayne, meanwhile, has pretty much just been chilling back at home, I think. Like, I guess he lost most of his roaches. He's been responding to a Hellion run-by. Good job by uThermal getting that off, trying to buy his team some time. If we look at the supply, though, after that fight, it's looking mighty rough. Goblin down to 81. Meanwhile, Wayne on 140 on the other team. uThermal supply isn't that good as well. We've got SCVs and a Hellion responding to the drop. More Hellions coming on in. Goblin with his Stalkers over there are being targeted down, as Milkicow's upgrades are phenomenal. With 2-1 on the bio, that gives him a lot of room to play, and he's got the best upgrades in the game. uThermal's got 1-1 upgrades done, which will help out his mech, but, I mean, bio with upgrades is just phenomenal. We've even got +3 attack on the way for Milkicow, whereas he hasn't even started +2 armor, so he may have a bit of a lopsided amount of upgrades. I don't think he'll mind. Goblin makes a Phoenix, which is very nice to help chase down these Medivacs, and now uThermal's being bullied on his front lines. The Liberator is set up. In comes Wayne with all that Zerg supply. SCVs are repairing this planetary en masse. However, it's been blinding clouded. The patch definitely coming into effect there, showing the reduced building armor on planetary fortresses by default. And uThermal didn't have the upgrade on that. He's almost mined out at his natural. He's just lost his third. I think Wayne and Milkicow have been able to tie up this series. And then, yeah, Stalkers blink forward to pick off the Liberator, but look at the supply. Look at the supply. Wayne is on 200 more supply than Goblin and Mark put together. I mean, Goblin's really trying with his Stalkers and Zealots. He's doing a good job, but there's just no way to take care of all this Zerg right now. Like, you need Psystorm or something. Really, you need massive AoE to take care of this much Zerg, and there just isn't that. The third base goes down for Goblin, and they don't want a GG. They want to be able to take the 2-0, but Wayne and Milkicow are going to tie this one up. Very nicely done. Yeah, as just the economic lead they established early on with their relatively greedy play compared to their opponents. I think they did a good job of scaring Goblin and uThermal, as that gave them a nice lead, allowed them more room to play. uThermal went for lots of Hellion run-bys. We can look at the workers killed, but it wasn't... I mean, it was reasonably high, actually, but I guess it just... actually, no. It wasn't reasonably high, pardon me. 43 for Milkicow. Okay, that's decent. That was lots of Hellion run-bys. Only 9 dead for Wayne, so it really shows Wayne was left alone. And then, yeah, I mean, just... Goblin and uThermal lost all their workers by this point in the match. So, I mean, the Hellion run-bys were good, but uThermal, he did lose 40 Hellions for getting 43 SCVs killed. Of course, they weren't all lost just on the run-bys, but a lot of them were. So it might not have been worth it, all those run-bys, which means we're going to load on into the next match, and actually the final match of this one. That's the thing about a best-of-3. You only have 3 matches maximum. However, ladies and gentlemen, if you do enjoy these 2v2 casts, I didn't even get a chance to say it at the start of the video, go ahead and click that like button if you haven't already. If we can hit, I don't know, let's say for 25 likes on this video, that would be amazing. Also, leave a comment saying more 2v2, or let me know if you got an OP 2v2 strategy in the comments, that kind of thing. If you're watching up until this point, but you're not a subscriber, go ahead and subscribe, as I put out daily StarCraft 2 videos. Then, if you do want to support the content, consider becoming a YouTube member, as that's the best way to do that. End spiel. As we get on into Breakwater, which is going to be our next map. See, we've got Goblin and uThermal going for a wall at the front. This is a more defensive... well, more defensible map in which you and your teammate are more together, which could potentially help out the Protoss and Terran team more than it would help out the Zerg and Terran team, as of course the Zerg doesn't allow the Terran to build on their bases, so you're more independent with a Zerg, which is why people have always traditionally said Zerg sucks in 2v2. That's just the way it is. Zerg kind of does suck in 2v2 in the fact that you can't build on your teammate's creep. So unless you're like a 2v2 Zerg team, I mean, not that you'd really build on your opponent's creep as a Zerg, other than maybe building them a Spore Crawler or something. That's just, Zerg doesn't really wall or build sim cities. So yeah, I would love to see a 2v2 with an entirely Zerg team. I think that would be very neat. I mean, it does have its disadvantages though, because of course you can't wall as a Zerg, which is important in 2v2. Well, you can't easily wall as a Zerg. Before someone types, well, you can spread creep and build Evo chambers and put a queen in the wall. Okay, it's not that easy. You can't wall right out the gate, that kind of thing. Now, let's take a look here. We have got the probe of Goblin being a menace, forcing the SCV trying to build the command center off the line. Meanwhile, it's now attacking a drone. So, what a nuisance. Goblin is he's really doing his teammate a favor though, saving uThermal from having to scout by going for the probe scout. That's a very good thing to coordinate in a 2v2. Why do both of us need to scout if one probe will suffice? And it generally does. Now we've got a Reaper coming across the map for uThermal. Gonna be looking to get something done. Meanwhile, Milkicow is going for Concussive Shell Marauders, but he does lose the SCV building that command center, which is going to cost him. Meanwhile, uThermal also trying to grab a drone that was heading for the third base for Wayne. That's not going to happen, though, so that gets delayed a little bit, which is quite nice. As, yeah, this Reaper's hanging out, might be able to grab this drone that's building the third. No, uThermal doesn't quite micro that in time. We even see one of the player pings going off there. Thankfully, we don't actually get those pinged to us as the observers. Sometimes players do spam the bejeebus out of those. Now, let's take a look here. uThermal going to be landing this command center. So getting his natural base up. Meanwhile, his counterpart, Milkicow, already has his natural base up, so evenly timed bases for the Terran players. No big losses or wins for either team at this point in the match. The Reaper did actually perish. That was probably thanks to Milkicow's Concussive Shell Marauders. Concussive Shell Marauders can definitely help out. They're good against Protoss harassment and Terran harassment. As, I mean, once they tag a unit, they can pretty much kill it. That's exactly what we see Milkicow looking for. Goblin realizes that and just completes the shade. He's got another Oracle flying on in here, really liking the Stargate play. How many workers did he get killed? 4 drones and 2 SCVs have died, as Goblin and uThermal are being very aggressive once again. Still 2 Hellions die, partly thanks to that Concussive Shell of Milkicow. We've now got a Banshee with Cloak on the way for uThermal, so it's going to be double air harassment from this team in the form of Oracles and Banshees. So we'll see if Wayne and Milkicow are able to defend against that, whether they invest in Spore Crawlers, that kind of thing, or turrets for Milkicow, as he could be the target. He's got a Cyclone, a Hellion, even a Queen from Wayne around to help defend his bases. It looks like the third base is going to face some heat, though, as uThermal really likes these mass Hellions. He hasn't fired up Blue Flame just yet, as he is only on 1 factory for now, but we'll see if he does build another. Instead, he's going to go for a third, so really focusing on the economy before getting up extra production, which is good to see. Marauders are out on the map for Milkicow, looking to grab some of these Hellions. uThermal realizes that Cyclone is low and is going to grab it. Now these 2 Marauders that were out on the map are going to face the heat. Looks like only one of them may go down. It also gets a bit more damage done to the Hellions, which is nice. Milkicow and uThermal, or Milkicow and Wayne, have got to be very careful against this harassment they'll be facing. More Hellions are flying around, as, yeah, uThermal really just likes these Hellion run-bys. He's now going to hit the third base, which is actually very undefended for Milkicow. Looks like they were out on the map, maybe looking to get a bit aggressive. Lings do come on in for Wayne to help defend his teammate. However, I think a couple more SCVs died there. Meanwhile, out on the map, we've got Milkicow and Wayne actually going to be looking to push their opponent's mass defense is getting ready, though, and look at this. The double Banshee for uThermal is going to kill the few Marines. There's only, yeah, there's only 1 Cyclone, 1 scan to help respond to these Banshees, only a few Marines. The Cyclone does get a lock on, the Cloak does end, so one of those Banshees does die. Meanwhile, I think that was some Warping and Stalkers that were killed, but still, Mass Stasis Ward catches so much of the Zerg army, as Milkicow and Wayne were looking to go for a quick win. But the defense of uThermal and Goblin is quite rock solid. There's a drop going off for Milkicow. Goblin has mass oracles to respond to this. He forces out the pulsar beam though, which is quite nice. That helps burn through the energy. He's going to try and drop again. However, Stalkers for Goblin are responding to that. Meanwhile, Wayne wants to push the front, but look at this defense for uThermal. He's got Banshees, tanks, a bunker, and nasty choke points. So Wayne's usual aggressive style is being countered quite hard by the just defensive line of uThermal-Goblin, really helping out, spamming down the stasis wards with all his oracles, as looks like they are trying to push on towards uThermal's third natural base, pardon me. If they can dislodge that even for a little bit, that would be quite nice, as there's so many vulnerable SCVs. He's corrosive bottling down a tank, more Ravagers are coming on in. Goblin does have Blink on his Stalkers though, wanting to help try and shut this down. If they can deny mining at this base, that would be so huge. Shuffle the tank forward, or get some corrosive biles off. Looks like Goblin is being a nuisance, though, with his Stalkers trying to find any potential he can get. Banshees for uThermal are going for counterattacks, looking to try and get some damage done. Corrosive biles are hitting the mineral line of uThermal. That's costing him quite a few SCVs. Oracles are still flying around. Good blink by Goblin, as the Roaches weren't there to support Milkicow, so he's actually going to lose pretty much everything he had out on the map. That's going to leave the Roaches and Ravagers of Wayne in trouble. Going to be getting pushed back. The Stalkers and Oracles can really pursue this army as well. uThermal's pushing out. He's got tanks. He's actually playing bio this game, not mech. And Milkicow and Wayne's attack failed. The Terran and the Zerg player haven't taken too much damage from that harassment. I mean, 13 drones for Wayne is big, but it's not ginormous. The Zerg player, though, throws up a fourth, kind of panicking. Meanwhile, Milkicow lands a third command center, so he's actually got that on location before uThermal. So the economic position is an interesting one. They committed a lot to that attack, but they're by no means dead. We've got Roaches and tanks to respond to this for Milkicow. Both Terran players playing bio in this match. Meanwhile, uThermal has got his own bio tank, and quite an army it is moving across the map. 46 supply. It looks bigger than it is, it seems, as he's got 5 tanks, mass marines, no medivacs to support it, as I guess he was making lots of Banshees this game. Roaches are coming on in. However, to defend for Wayne, however, the Stalkers and Marines are teaming on up, so Wayne is going to need help from Milkicow. That could leave his planetary vulnerable, as there is Banshees harassing that for uThermal. He made more Banshees, and that seems to be paying off for him. Marines are responding for Milkicow. Scan to push this away. He's going to need to build a turret there. We'll see if the Banshees for uThermal can come back in. Still, Wayne's third base is really being bullied. Milkicow sets up his own tanks to try and defend this, but the hatchery is being sieged. Wayne is also cut off from his fourth base. The tanks are shelling away. Looks like Wayne is going to go for a last-ditch effort to try and save this. He does corrosive bile down 2 tanks. The hatchery is still incredibly low, though, and 1 volley from the Stalkers would probably kill that off. We've also got charge lots for Goblin to help out. Banshee still harassing for uThermal, being a nuisance. That's forcing Marines to stim over. The third hatchery dies. Wayne plants it. Immediately, the tanks are unsupported, though, as charge lots for Goblin come on in. Roaches are kiting back. There's so many Marines for Milkicow. They help just cut down all of those zealots, and to push the opposing team away. uThermal's got a few tanks still out on the map, but he's really just macroing up back at home. He's got his third base on location, so I mean, Milkicow's doing all right economically. He's got that third re-secured, really dealt with the Banshees, but his Zerg counterpart is in dire straits. Wayne on 44 workers. It's going to be on Milkicow to do some of the heavy lifting to help out his teammate. He's got a big amount of Marines. However, Goblin, he sees this. He's been dropping revelations like mad. Zealots are going to close in on top of the army of Milkicow. Milkicow's got 1-1 on his Marines, but Goblin's confident enough to trade here. Maybe overly confident, as the Marines of Milkicow do push away that army of Goblin. The Zealots eventually get cut through, but look at this, a drop from uThermal hitting the fourth of Wayne. That's definitely going to knock the Zerg player down even more, as maybe they're not used to Goblin or uThermal playing bio, as he played mech in the previous match. There is a Spore, some Marauders, and a tank to actually help out. That's very helpful for Wayne, as Milkicow helps out his teammate. The bio Milkicow is trying to use its mobility to get some damage done. He loads up into the medivac. However, his army is seen and vulnerable. He's just got to get those units out of there. He can't afford to lose them. The planetary is a fallback point for Milkicow. He's investing in yet another command center. Wayne is in quite a tough spot, though. I mean, he's making roaches and hydras. He just doesn't really have that much of an economy to do it with, as he's having to rebuild his 4th base. He's been bullied quite hard and is still behind as a result. He's got to be careful with his roaches. Milkicow is going to have to position his army very correctly to help out his teammate. Meanwhile, Goblin is getting out Psystorm, which is quite scary. Look at this Terran Bioforce for uThermal. It's 1-1 for both the Terrans. Milkicow is going to have to help out his teammate for sure in this position. We see a lurker den on the way for Wayne, but there's no lurkers yet. He built an infestation pit, but no infestors. So dealing with all this Terran bio and tank is not going to be easy. And Goblin is doing a great job bullying Milkicow on the other side of the map, keeping him pinned down, allowing uThermal to potentially get a lethal blow here on to Wayne. Wayne's got roaches and hydras, but he just doesn't have the numbers that he needs to respond to this. He does push back Goblin's army for now. And still, though, looks like Milkicow had a drop in the upper left, didn't get too much done. uThermal is maxed out on bio, just been powering off of these 3 bases. The numbers are looking quite scary for Wayne. Milkicow's going to need a miracle engagement. He does have 2-1 attack done, however, then he eats some massive Psystorms. Goblin's Psystorm gets a lot of work done. That forces Milkicow to pull back. Wayne is also being pushed back. These players are going to be on the defensive once again. I think most of the Psystorm is gone, which could help out. However, in comes uThermal, stimming in with all his bio. There's so much of it, 126 supply of Terran bio, and there's just no holding the line at that 3rd base. A tank is sieged up for Milkicow, but it's not enough. And uThermal and Goblin are able to take the best of 3, 2-1. Ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this 2v2 cast, the full best of 3, click that like button if you haven't already. And yeah, I really enjoyed casting it, so do let me know if you want to see more in the comments down below. If you want to support the channel, you guys know how to do that. Like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. And I will see you guys next time. Thanks so much for tuning in.